First, can you tell us about yourself? What is your name? Where were you born? And where did you grow up?
Gotcha. Well, my name's Nick Tegel. I was born in Lake Forest, Illinois, and I grew up in Highland Park, and then we moved to Ireland, where I grew up there for 4 years as well, started school there, and then moved back to the town next to Lake Forest, which is Lake Bluff in the Chicago area.
Okay, and then where in Greece is your family from? Your mom is from Greece, right?
Yeah, my mom's 100% Greek. So my papu, where is he from? He's from southern Greece, by Kalamata area, in a small village that was like made in the 1890s, which they called a new village because it was burned down during a war, and they had to rebuild it all. And then my yaya is from Thessaloniki up north in the farmlands. Yeah, they had dirt floors, so that was different than here for sure.
Why did your family decide to move from Greece to the United States?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure. I know from my dad it was because she didn't like being in Greece. She kind of hated it. They were dirt poor and they wanted to come for like a better life. I think it was also right after World War II for both of them. My papu, I don't know why he came. I'm sure the same reasoning for it. I mean, where they grew up, there was nothing really around them other than the sea. The house had, I think, 2 families living in it, and it's like a 500 square foot house. Like right now, it only has 4 or 5 bedrooms and no other living space in it. So I think both of them came for a better life for the most part, and yeah, they did well afterwards. So
there's a lot of different diasporas, especially individual ethnic diasporas from the Balkans in Chicago. And from what you've told me, there seems to be a considerable Greek diaspora in Chicago. So can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, at least where I am, there's a ton of Greek churches around it. The big parts are like we have a Junior Olympics every year, so we participate in that with like 15, 20 other churches. Thousands and thousands of kids go there, so they kind of play sports against each other. A lot of the other Greek churches are actually in the Serbian basketball league. We're not, because we're not that big, but that's how a lot of the kids will like know each other. As well as, I did Fenari camp, so that was interesting as well, where I had a bunch of other Greek kids that I knew from there. And everyone kind of knows each other somehow, some way. It's all like connected in a weird way just because of all the different Greek churches. I mean, where I was, there wasn't too many. Like where I lived in my community wasn't too many Greeks, but it was weird. I'd go to like church and all the Greeks would be there. And it was just fun hanging out, go to like different Goyas, Greek dance, just spend time with each other, especially because we were all similar, but also all very different in the same way. So. And
that's cool that there's interaction between the different diasporas from the Balkans.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit about your involvement in the Greek diaspora, Goya, and then these camps. So can you talk a little bit more about your involvement? Like, what was it like for you? How did it help you learn about and be involved with your Greek culture?
I mean, Goya was fun because I got to meet other Greeks. It was kind of fun. And a lot of the kids at Goya were part of my, we were all altar boys together, so we all kind of knew each other. And we all kind of came up together, especially with the girls as well, the same way. Because we're all around the same age, and in our church was a massive like age gap between like us and people below us and people above us. So it was kind of fun, I would say we learned more about like the church itself than actual being like Greek. A lot of the kids were Greek. Some of them were like half Greek, and some of them were like more Americanized and then not Greek. I didn't learn much because I was super young, I guess. I didn't really take in a lot, but it was nice to kind of still be within the church and not really lose it as I was growing up. And the Fenari camp, which was the camp I did from 6th grade until I was in 11th grade, I think also kind of helped that kind of like bring me back into the church. Even though I would go to church every week, it would just be a different experience. Overall, just a different experience when you're with like 500 other kids who are all kind of in the same religion as you, and definitely some things happen at the camp that is just doesn't really like feel real. Like you all kind of get like super connected for no good reason, it seems, within 5 days, where I would get the same amount of connectedness with like a group where I did like a 6-week bike trip. We were all close by the end of the bike trip, but with these guys it was like 5 days. We're all like super close. I don't really talk to a lot of them, but even when I see them now, it feels like we just left off kind of where we left off every time we see them. So it was a good time. Just nice to keep it like still try to be with the church and try to learn throughout my childhood. And now it's more like I can learn more because I'm older, a little bit smarter probably. So a little more of a sponge now than I was when I was young, but still good though.
Yeah, so it seems like for the Greek diaspora in the United States, I've definitely noticed this, that the Greek Orthodox Church is really important to Greek Americans in bringing people in and whether it's helping them learn the language. I know like my Greek friends always went to Greek school during a day of the week, and just, learning about Greek history, Greek culture. I know Assumption Greek Orthodox Church here in Scottsdale just did a Ohi Day for like celebrating Greek independence from the Ottomans. So that's definitely something I've noticed. And yeah, I agree with you about like summer camps. Like I went to Serbian summer camp. I've been to All Saints Greek summer camp. So that's definitely like something, like you just get so close with those people. And I think that's really important to retaining ties by being involved in those communities.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Okay, next question. You kind of started touching on this. So now that you're in college, out of state, living on your own, how do you practice your Greek culture in your day-to-day life? Are there little things that you do that may be distinctly Greek? Like, do your roommates notice anything?
I'm sure they do. I mean, I've got some, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's kind of weird being out here because there is no Greeks, really. I haven't really met.
You didn't go to Greek Fest.
Probably, yeah. I met 3 people at OCF that were Greek, but other than that, I mean, just through my daily life, I haven't really met too many people that are. I mean, some weird things I have is we have olive oil trees, so I have like 30 liters of olive oil underneath my cabinets. So I guess that's something that's very Greek, where I use olive oil for cooking for everything.
I mean, you did just buy incense.
I did just buy incense, so that was always nice. Yeah, no, I need to use it more, but yeah, I guess like buying the incense. I bought some icons as well to try to, I don't know, kind of make my room feel a little more like churchy, I guess, and make it a little more homey rather than just like blank white walls. But definitely my first 2 years was like strange because I'd never really been thrown kind of into like the abyss, if you will, where I didn't really know anyone here. I came here with like 3 high school friends, so not really knowing anyone in Arizona too was kind of weird. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't do too many things that are like distinctively Greek other than like go to church and I wear my cross and things like that, but some little things. So it's all about the little things, yeah.
So you've told me some stories about visiting family in Greece over the summers. Can you share a memorable experience or two about visiting and spending time there?
Oh yeah, last summer was fun. Definitely is different than here, especially when I got to see kind of how the kids lived. It was definitely like a wholly different lifestyle that I will probably never quite understand. Because they don't really work in the summers or anything like that. They just kind of go and have fun, which would drive me crazy. I think one girl was working, but we went over there this summer. I met with like my cousin who's my age, or she's a year younger than me, and I met with all of her friends. So it was cool. Like we went to like the beach together. I met one of her friends' like family in their like little house, which was kind of cool. They kind of had like a similar house to us where it's passed down through the lineages. And their house was cool too. It goes right on the water, which you don't really see in America too often, where you have these like what should be like a multi-million-dollar house is like this small little cottage that has like perfect like views. I mean, some of the other things too is they just have like these massive like parties, if you will, where we kind of had like our Glendy events where they had like Greek dancing and stuff, where this was outside in a block. Everyone was Greek dancing, having fun, stuff that you can't really do here, especially at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I mean, some weird things was getting used to not having air conditioning growing up. Like, I thought that was always strange, or I never really quite understood like why we went, or like when we went to Greece, how different that is versus the normal American, because we would stay with our family members. So like I'd be hanging out with my aunt and making like home cooked meals, which I don't think a lot of people get that experience, as well as because I'm weird, because I don't like to eat a lot of Greek food. So I always had to be, it was like, I would be like, they're like, what do you want? Like, we can do butter noodles or like meat or something, but nothing else other than that. So
that's definitely something that I also experienced. Like the European summer for me is not the European summer for other people.
Yeah.
Like where they're gallivanting from London to Paris and I don't know, Prague, Munich, I don't know. Lack of air conditioning kills me so much. It's something I don't understand, how people think they can get sick from air conditioning. Yeah. So do you have a favorite place that you have visited in Greece?
Favorite place?
Yeah.
I have many. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the one place we always go to is the Kalamata because we have a house that's an hour away from there. So that's a good place if I just want to like unwind and just like relax for a week. I can't really be there for more than a week. I think I would go crazy, but it's like very like peaceful and quiet there. But also very little technology. Like they barely have Wi-Fi there. We just put air conditioning in that house like 2 or 3 years ago, and this house was built in like the 1890s. And we just put air conditioning in. As well as I have to sleep on the couch in the basement when we go there. So, but it's still a good time, and we know people within the village. So I know there's one Canadian family that all speak English. When I go over there, I text them, "Hey, are you there?" They usually show up, or a couple others that'd be like that. I mean, some other places that we've been that I really liked was the one was Crete. That was beautiful. That was pretty cool. It also helped. We rented like a nice house with a pool and air conditioning and everything. So that was a good spot. I think we went to Zakynthos. I think that's where it was. I could be wrong. We went to some island. I think it was Zakynthos. I could be wrong though. Where one of our family friends, their house is on the, I forgot what they call it, like above the clouds is what it's called in Greek, something like that. And it's like 2,000, 3,000 feet up, and their house is like on the cliff, so there's nothing like in front of them. So that was pretty sick. And we went to they had like a island party when we went there, so that was kind of fun.
That's fun.
So it was just like one big, everyone kind of like met each other, and I mean I was young, so I didn't really understand it fully what was going on, but it's still a good time. So yeah, definitely some of my favorite places.
So you said you don't like Greek food that much. Do you like olives?
Olives are good, yeah.
Okay,
I like olives. I like gyros. I like Slovakia. What else do I like?
You like saganaki?
Saganaki, I like all the cheeses.
Fire.
Yeah, no, that's the best.
My favorite food at Greek Fest.
Yeah, the flaming cheese.
Do you like the lokomades?
Yeah, lokomades are good. I like the simple Greek food. I'm not a pasticcio guy. I'm not I don't even know what some of this stuff. Spanakopita I like. Teropita I like. I mean, the same thing. Bugatsa I like. Pretty much like all the pastries I like for the most part. But it's the stuff it's the stuff that's all like mixed together. It's kind of like, I'm sure it comes from the wars.
The wars?
No, I'm sure that's where a lot of the food comes from because, I mean, they didn't really have money during World War II and stuff.
I have a Romanian friend that said to me once, Megan, we literally, all our food is poor people food. I was like, I guess you're right. So when you go to Greece, do you experience any specific feelings, like when you land in the airport in Athens or wherever you land? Is there anything that you feel?
I think it's strange because it's such a different country. It's so far away, but yet it still feels like home. In the same way Ireland feels the same way. Like when I go there, it doesn't feel like we've really left. Especially in Greece where it was to the point now where we know that the exact bagel shop where you walk out of the Greek airport or out of the terminal. When we drive to our house, we know all the different pit stops. And so it's kind of weird. It feels like we just kind of transported to a different place that's still feels like I'm still in the United States in a way. Even though everyone speaks different languages, things like that. So definitely more of a homey kind of feeling, especially now that I'm starting to pick up on the Greek, getting there slowly. So it's definitely becoming more normal to be there and not this foreign experience, which I'm sure not a lot of people have that when they go to a totally different country. So yeah.
Do you have plans to learn Greek?
Yeah, I got Duolingo. I can get better at it, but...
Is Duolingo good for Greek? When I was learning Russian on Duolingo, it was so bad.
I don't know. I learned some stuff. I mean, I know I can order most of my food as long as it's my order. Nothing. I don't know anything else. I just know I want a gyro without tomatoes. I know how to say that, but other than that, I have no idea what they're saying. But it's weird. I go over there and you start to kind of stumble on the English. It's just weird, even though I don't know Greek. It's because I'm surrounded by it for so much. My mom knows Greek, especially when I just went with my mom. You kind of forget different words or different sayings because they have their translations to English are different. So your vocabulary kind of starts to change and you speak more like they speak in Greek, but just a direct translation into it. Which is kind of weird. I don't know if you've felt that.
Yeah, when I was in Serbia for over 2 months this summer, I would talk to people back in Arizona and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm acting like I've been here for 5 years. Yeah. What is wrong with me? How am I forgetting these random words? So you're a supply chain major at the WP Carey School of Business at ASU. How has your cultural background maybe influenced your educational and career choices? Would you say like your Greek culture has influenced at all?
I don't
Or is it
know.
more like your American culture that has driven you, like made you
Yeah.
really like, I don't know, you seem to be very work oriented.
Work. Yeah. I would say definitely it's kind of weird, kind of half and half. So definitely a lot of the American culture has impacted my life. When we have Christmas with my Greek side versus my American side, it's like totally a different experience for sure. We do different things. I think part of it is like the drive of being in America has impacted me to kind of like be more focused on work and studying and things like that. And then I think kind of just supply chain I just picked because it seemed like I would be good at it because I'm creative but also logical. So you need both of them to be able to come up with better solutions, like new solutions that they haven't thought of before, especially when something's so cut and dry where it's like removing flour or removing who knows what they're moving, but they're moving like simple things. I think the kind of the Greek culture side comes more with like the different foods that I eat, what I do on my free time, maybe. Definitely like my religion was impacted by it. Yeah, I mean like the incense, like things like that. Like I don't see any Americans with incense in their rooms or even like icons. Like even my Catholic friends don't really have icons. It's definitely like a very Orthodox thing that I've noticed the big time. So I'd say like my Greek side is more like how I live my everyday life a little bit, and then the American side is a little bit more of like the work side and being like not super crazy and just keeping it going. So
this next question relates to this. So both Anna and I, we've talked about this with each other. We've dealt with a sense of identity conflict related to sometimes feeling too American in the Balkans and then too Balkan in the United States. I know for me, like my Serbian culture plays a big role in like my life at home, like your culture does. And then obviously like when you're at work and stuff, you're interacting with people from so many different cultures. Have you ever dealt with this sense of identity conflict related to being both Greek and American?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I would say it'd be more here than back home. Mm-hmm. I mean, back home, no one really cared, it seemed. Especially because, like, within my church, a lot of the kids were like me, which is kind of strange. A lot of them were mixed. So they would be, like, half Greek or a quarter Greek. So they really, I mean, some of these kids, you wouldn't even know they're Greek. They kind of look more like American than they do Greek just because they're super, like, pale and, like, blonde hair, things like that. But I think it was more like here, because they don't see it every day, you don't really get to, like, interact and talk about things I would with other Greeks. Just because it's kind of fun to talk about different country that no one else can talk about in like really specific ways. But I don't know if it's necessarily like identity, like issues. I've always hung out with Americans, so it's been pretty normal for me just to be like, yeah, I have Easter a week later than you guys, or like I like my olive oil, or just weird things like that. I don't know. It may just be also where I grew up, where there really wasn't. I think I went to school with, in my grade, there was 2 or 3 other Greek families, and then there was me, and the other ones didn't even go to church. They weren't really Greek, so I was like, I don't know.
I think it definitely has to do with environment. When you grow up, whether or not like you will experience those feelings.
I definitely was also thrown around too when I was younger. I mean, I went to Ireland, so that was weird. Like, I hung around a bunch of Irish kids who were either Irish or like me, they immigrated from somewhere else because of their parents' job or something. So I think also helps. Yeah. Had to help somewhat.
So that code switching, like you're used to being into the different cultures.
Yeah, I mean, I go to Ireland when I was younger, especially. I'm not sure about now, but I knew all their slang. So like I would be like, yeah, being the lads, or I mean, they have like some weird slang that I started to pick up on, which is kind of funny. Yeah. So yeah, definitely the code switching is like. I got good at it, especially growing up.
So on that note, with code switching and language, do you listen to any Greek music?
Greek music.
Like pop music, you got a favorite song or artist, or not even pop music, like Greek
traditional
songs.
Yeah, I don't really listen to like the traditional stuff at all in my free time. Greek dancing, sure. If I'm in a function.
What's your favorite Greek dance?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what they're called. I just know them. I mean, the bass one's easy. The one I really like is it comes from the army. I don't know what it's called, but it's like you link arms and you have to like throw your legs up, and it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. Um, and it's like how they trained for war, apparently,
Oh.
like cardio. That was their cardio. Very Greek, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, let's not go running. Let's just dance.
Yeah. But it is definitely cardio.
100%. I mean, you get going after a while, but I mean, the other ones, songs like Yasu Maria.
Okay, so switching gears towards the end a little bit.
Yeah.
So our goal with this project is to build these connections across ethnic lines, across the diasporas in the United States. Like, for example, I know like the Greeks and the Serbs have always been tight like this.
Yeah.
But we're trying to build connections across like other diasporas from the Balkans. So what do you think about this notion of like connecting with people from the different diasporas from the same region of the world, because we do have a lot more in common than we have differences. So what do you think about that notion of building peace in the United States?
Oh, building peace, I mean, I think it's cool. I'm always down. I don't know. I mean, growing up, I've always had to interact with people that are different than me, and still had to get along with them, which I have for the most part. I mean, I grew up with like people from Nicaragua. One dude was from, kids were from all over the place. And then especially going to Ireland, it's like I had to hang out with kids that were like, one kid was from Hong Kong. And he wasn't even Chinese or whatever Hong Kong is. But, I mean, he was just like moving around the same way with me. He still lives in Ireland now. But, I don't know. I think it'd be cool. Especially because, we all were one at one point, right? I mean, we're all underneath the same empire.
Okay, thank you for that. And the last question is, do you have any plans on how you will continue to preserve your Greek culture, like sustain it while living in the United States?
I think for me, it's just going to church is the big one, just because it is like Greek Orthodox. But also it's like going to OCF was also a big one. So finding like a different men's group, or I've been getting the icons now, because that is a little bit part of the culture in a way, even though it is more religious than a cultural thing, because they have icons from all over the world. And it's not just a Greek thing. It's anyone who's Orthodox usually, and Catholics, but mostly Orthodox, at least in the style. That's kind of the big one, just kind of surrounding my, like, making my environment seem a little bit more Greek. Even though I'm not like super, super Greek, I'm not like, you'd never be like, oh, this guy is super Greek, especially because my last name's Tegel. But I think that also the big part is like teaching my kids about it, like bringing them to church, bringing them to the Glendy, bringing them to learn Greek dancing, have them, or at least attempt to learn Greek, is also big parts of it, just because it's a piece of who we are, even though it will be like 2 generations separated apart. I mean, we still go over there. We still know a lot of our like direct relatives, even though it goes back to like not my grandparents, but their grandparents. A lot of it goes back to. So I don't know, definitely just like keeping my environment good and making sure to connect with other people that are also Greek, even if it's 1 or 2 people throughout my week.
I find it really interesting how you say like the passing it down, because I guess that is a big part of preserving our cultures by passing it down. And that means like, first, we make sure that we have a good base knowledge and whatnot so that we can pass it down. So thank you for that. That was the last question.
Perfect.
Thank you for coming and interviewing with us today.
Thanks, yeah. Hopefully beneficial.